Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to DFS Zone. It's Manny here once again. I have a brand new NBA DFS video for you guys today. We're going to discuss today's 7-gamer in the association, but before I get started, like always, I greatly appreciate all of you drop a like on the video. It helps my channel out. I greatly appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, it's your first time here, have not seen any of my NBA videos before, the only thing you need to do to be a part of the community, get access to the videos, is to become a subscriber down below. So make sure before you go, you subscribe to the channel, and don't forget that bell icon. Make sure you turn that on, so this way you'll be notified when I upload my new videos, which I upload 6 days a week, NBA right now, until the NFL season concludes. When it does, there will be 7 games. All 7 days of the week will be videos. Okay, with that being said, man, today is Wednesday. It is November the 13th, 2019. 7-gamer in the association. We're going to get right to it. At the top, a little bit of news, obviously. First things first, I do have a weekly drawing. So, I mean, the only thing you have to do to be a part of the weekly drawing, for those who are regulars, you guys have been commenting, you just got to drop a like on the video. You got to comment down below anything regarding the actual slate, or just saying hello, whatever the case may be. And of course, you have to be a subscriber to the channel. The weekly drawing is on Mondays. I give out a week free of my player pool, my list of players that I am looking at the end of the day, just before lock. So if you're interested in getting that additional information, a little bit of help to help you just narrow down some plays. Again, like I tell you here all the time, nothing's guaranteed no matter where you go. As far as the players got to play, the coaches got to coach, and any given day something can go bad. Injuries, players not playing well, not shooting well, it happens. This is sports. So the beauty of it about DFS is that we can just forget about whatever days were not good for us and just get right back to the grind again. That's what I consider just the grind here, man. It's every day. Let's put it that way. It's every day. So, but if you're interested in being a part of the weekly drawing, that's all you need to do. Other than that, if you want to be able to get more in-depth detail of my player pool or cash plays or GPP plays for Fanduel or DraftKings, I'm also going to be incorporating soon Yahoo, because I just started playing on Yahoo. You can go to my Patreon page. The link is in the description down on of the video here. In the description area of the video, you're going to find a link to my Patreon page. If you're interested in that, you can actually go into the weekly tier for either player pools or whatever, and you'll be able to get a little bit more in depth about what players I'm looking at and why is it that I am targeting those players. It's a little bit more broader than just me giving you a couple plays here. Okay, so that's for those of you who are interested. Okay, let's move on. So today we're going to go over the point guard. At point guard at the top, we got Damian Lillard. We got Russell Westbrook, Kemba Walker. I'm going to be honest with you, just to make videos shorter, I like Kemba Walker the best out of these three. He has the best opportunity to meet his upside. He's at 9,000. You only need 45. Lillard, I will have some exposure to. I tell you the truth. I'm always being frank. I can't always give you the studs here, because obviously some of them are, you look at them, you can tell they're in a favorable matchup. There is no need to even discuss them. But Lillard obviously is someone you can consider, but I think he's priced about where he should be at. I don't think there's too much upside there, unless he has a really, really big game where he could put 60 or better, and we know he can't do that. But he's pretty good at 45, 50 fantasy points almost on a regular basis. Russell Westbrook is still under 10. I think that he'll be probably a better play for $300 cheaper in a game against the Clippers. He is at home, and the beauty about also Lillard is that he is at home, so you can go that way as well. But I'm going to go to Kemba at home. Washington has really been having their struggles all the way across the board defensively against almost every position. At 9,000, you need 45. Granted, he's not going to give you super upside here. I'm a GPP player. I think this is a nice cash play, safe cash play compared to the other guys. He should get 45 here in this game tonight. 9,000, you need 45. He's going up against the 24th defending team against point guards. His game log looks pretty good. He's coming in 25 points, 5 rebounds, pretty much almost nearly 5 assists a game. What I like best out of all this is that he's been putting some decent numbers as of late. 40 somewhat, pretty much 42 plus in about almost all the games. He's been pretty consistent at 40 somewhat. He can get you 50, and as you can see, he scored 26 and 29 from the floor in the last 2 games. Would love to see him get more rebounds and get more peripherals, more steals and blocks, but he has been a little, he's been a little good there. Two blocks here, pretty much 4 steals. I like the fact that he's played more than enough minutes. His shooting is not too bad. He's shooting 41% from the floor, 44% from three. Excellent from the free throw line, 91%. So you don't want to foul him too much. When he does get aggressive and he gets to the foul line, he's going to bury 91% of the time those shots. His usage rate is at 29% coming in, and he's getting a little bit of a bump here, obviously, with Gordon Hayward out. The key three guys for Boston that you want to target if you're going to target a team stack today will be Walker with Brown or Walker with Tatum, or you can go with all three. I will not be at all opposed to that at all. I think you could go that route today. But its usage rate, again, like 29%, and then, of course, a slight bump, maybe almost a 31% with Hayward off the floor. He's been taking 17 to 18 shots per game as of late, showing 48% from the floor. He is shooting 48% better from the floor over the last 2 games with his shots because he's been taking a few more shots. He's also taking 9 to 10 threes a game. Washington, pretty much almost in the bottom of the league. I think they're like 7th, if I remember correctly, when I looked at it a couple hours ago. I think they're 7th in the league in defending three-pointers. So it definitely opens up the doors with Boston having a couple of guys that definitely like to shoot the three. So I'm hoping that Kemba, who takes 9 to 10 shots a game, start burying a few of those threes, hopefully at a 45 to 50% clip. They're going up against Washington, like I said, 24th in defending point guards. This year, they're allowing 37.2 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards. And over the last 4 games, that has been bumped up to 40.4 fantasy points per game. They gave up 44 to Bruce Brown, 44 to Teague, 52 to Westbrook, and 30 to Garland, as well as 45 to DeJounte Murray over the course of the last 5 games, and now they got to go and deal with Kemba Walker. So I like Walker here. You can't play him on DK. DK's $8,600. He's $400 cheaper. Granted, I'm going to give you, because I normally don't give you a whole lot of DK plays, I'm going to just announce a few guys. If you're playing on DK, no AD tonight, you're going to have some exposure to James. Other than that, Westbrook at $8,900 is definitely below price. D. Russell, with the amount of offense and usage and the shots that he takes for his team, he is all the offense for Golden State at $8,100 on DK. I think he's someone you can target. Lou Will, especially if I would think Paul George is not going to play tonight. Lou Will is going to be the second primary scorer for the Clippers other than Kawhi tonight. You got to have to consider Lou Will at $7,100. Devontae Graham for Charlotte at $6,900 on DK. If you want to slot him in at point guard, he's not bad. And then if Jeff Teague is announced that he's a game time decision now, but if he plays tonight at $4,600 on DK, that is absolute steal for Jeff Teague. The longest he plays his 30 minutes plus. If he comes back, he's going to play 30 minutes plus. I think that would be an excellent play. So those are the guys you got to watch out for. All right, going over to shooting guard. At shooting guard at the top, you got Harden, you got D. Russell, you got Bradley Beal, Wiggins. Again, Harden at the top, I have no problem with it. I always say either take Harden or take Westbrook. Pairing them both is a little difficult for me, but I don't have no problem with Harden. We know he's going to get tons of shots, so it's no need to really discuss him there. He is someone you got to consider any given night. D'Angelo Russell, I already mentioned it for DK. I think he's great at $8,100, $9,200 here. A little tough. It's a nice price for him. It's 40. If you need 46 from him, he can definitely get you there. Is not the easiest matchup going up against the Lakers. That's the only concern I have, and also the concern is that he's on the road. The Lakers are playing at home. So I'm coming all the way down to I really have been torn a little bit by Van Fleet. I'm going to have some exposure to him. I'm going to absolutely have exposure to him depending on how they guard him. That's going to be the key. Is it going to be Damian Lillard on him? Which, if it is, I think he's going to tear him up because we know he is starting at the point, and then Powell is playing the 2. And if C.J. McCollum is going to defend Van Fleet, which I would assume, or at least I would think if I'm the coach, I would prefer to try to lock down Van Fleet a little bit more than Powell. I would put C.J. McCollum on him. But again, I don't know what Portland's going to do. But if Damian Lillard is going to cover him, I think he's going to have a fine game at 7,500. And the same could be said for Norman Powell. You're going to have to have exposure to him as well. So I like those two guys. But I'm going down to Devontae Graham, who's been really on fire. Had him on my roster most of my games. The last few times he's played, he's been absolutely wonderful for me. I like the matchup. You're going up against a 28 defending team, defending shooting guards right now, I think just overall, he's just playing really well. 31 plus minutes, as you can see, almost 18 points per game, nearly 4 rebounds, 7 assists, pretty much almost 8 assists a game. Numbers have been great. 19, 24 from the floor. Has had 2 double-doubles in a row. Nearly missed 3 double-doubles. Did have a 35 spot here. The longest he plays 31, 32 minutes or better, he is good to go. Has 56-point upside, and he's been 35 or better in 4 straight games. I do like all those numbers I see for Devontae Graham. He's shooting 41% from the floor and 42% from three. So from the three-point stripe, he's been really deadly. Okay. He's also a good free throw shooter. He's coming in here in his last few games. He's been taking about 6 to 8 free throws a game. So his game has been elevating all the way across the board. He's being aggressive, getting to the foul line, and absolutely burying those shots from the free throw line as well. His usage rate is at 23%. At the moment, he's taking 14 to 15 shots per game from the floor and about 9 to 10 threes. That is more than enough offense for me to have him considered, to have him on my list as someone to consider here today. I think he's an excellent play. It's all a matter of hopefully he doesn't have one of those nights where his shots are not going down, but he's getting more than enough usage, and as far as shots and minutes, it's just perfectly, he's in the right spot for that $7,200 price tag. He's going up against Memphis. Memphis definitely struggles against point guard, against guards in general. They are 28th, like I said before, as you can see here, 28th in defending shooting guards, and they've been allowing 26.5 fantasy points per game. It's not a whole lot, but in the last 4 games, they have given up 29.8, almost nearly 30 fantasy points per game. That's an increase of about 12%. So they are definitely trending down as of late, depending on opponents. I think Devontae Graham is going to be a tough opponent. Plus, he's also at home. I do like Devontae Graham here. You can't play him on DK. At 7,200, you only need 36 DK. 6,900, you need 34. And on DK, if you're looking for a couple possible plays, I did mention Russell. I did mention Will. I think those guys you should have some exposure to. Van Fleet is definitely someone in play. Fournier, I think, at 5,300 is not a bad. Powell at 4,900. And Dylan Brooks at 4,400 is also a little appealing to me, as well as McLemore for Houston at 3,100. He's like near bare minimum on DK. He's also bare minimum here on Fanduel. So these are guys you got to consider, man. So Lou Will, 7K versus Houston. Houston giving up 35.5 fantasy points per game. He's got to be a must. Dylan Brooks, 5,100 here on Fanduel. Going up against Charlotte, 29.5 fantasy points per game over the last 4 games to opponents. Ben McLemore, $3,500 at the bare minimum, going up against the Clippers. They're giving up 29.6 fantasy points per game. So those are some nice options for you there. At small forward, at the top, no AD. You got to have some exposure to LeBron James. I will if AD is out. I don't see no reason why not. He should have a good game at that point in time. But with AD on the floor, I just will not be paying up for either one of the two. Today, Kawhi Leonard is definitely an option at 10,003. You need 50, 51. He's going to be the top scorer there until Paul George comes. Then things are going to have to open up a little bit more. It's going to only make LA a little bit more dangerous to cover. Siakam in play with Portland. It's a tough matchup for him as far as up front. But again, Siakam here, he is an integral part of this offense between him, Van Fleet, and Powell. They're going to have to get it done somehow as far as getting us enough offense up here for the Toronto Raptors. But I'm going to come down to Jaylen Brown at 7,200 for Boston. He's going up against Washington. So my pairing right here, and I mentioned at the beginning when I said Kemba Walker, if you want to do a team stack, I think Walker Brown or Walker with Tatum, or even doing a triple stack, you can definitely do that as well with Boston today against Washington. Washington will hang in there, but I think this game will stay at least relatively close for a little bit. And I think that at the end, when it's all said and done, I think Jaylen Brown and Kemba Walker should be right about value or better. All right. He's coming in here, 7,200. You need 36 to be value. On DK, he is 7,300, so he's actually a little more expensive there. I will probably, if you're playing on DK, I will probably really will consider a couple of guys at small forward, like Aaron Gordon at 5,700 is really, really cheap. This is a guy that's about 65 or a 7K player. So he is that, but he hasn't performed as well. He's not taking as many shots. When he's taking shots, his shooting percentage is not as high as has been over the years past. But at 5,700, that is pretty damn cheap, man. So Robert Covington at 5K on DK, that is pretty cheap for him as well. So you can pivot to him as well. Or Powell, which I mentioned before, 4,900. Dylan Brooks is also small forward eligible, shooting guard eligible on DK, 4,100. You only need 20. And of course, Kyle Kuzma is starting to play 24, 25 minutes. And I think almost put almost a 30 spot last night. He is on the front end of a back-to-back, but Kuz at 4,100 is definitely someone to consider as well. But Jaylen Brown, game log, 19, almost 20 points a game. He is definitely one of the integral parts of offense for this team. Him, Tatum, and Kemba Walker are the offense for this team. So he's going to have a lot of usage, a lot of touches with the ball. As you can see, 32 plus minutes, 20.7 rebounds, nearly 2.5 assists. He's had a 25 and a 30 spot from the floor over the last 2 games, and he had a double-double in his last game. Now, if he can just give us a little bit more peripherals, it'll be awesome. But right now, he's playing really, really well. 41 plus in 2 straight games. Love that as well. He's shooting 53% from the floor, 30% from 3. Definitely got to improve in the 3-point strike, but 53% from the floor is excellent. He's also a pretty good free throw shooter. He can get aggressive, get to the foul line. So he's shooting 77% there from the foul line. His usage rate is at 22% only, but since now that Hayward is out, he's been bumped almost nearly 2% to about close to 24%, taking in the last 2 games. Check this out. In the last 2 games, since Hayward has gone down, his shots have gone from 11 to 12 to 16 to 18 shots, respectively, over the last 2 games, shooting 56% in those 2 games combined. All right, and he's been up to the free throw line 17 times and has buried 14 out of 17 shots. Again, minutes, usage, shots, favorable matchups. That's what you're looking for in fantasy basketball. And again, this is just a good matchup for him. It's a matter of making sure his shots go down, his shots continue to go down at that rate that we have been seeing. Okay, it's going up against Washington. Washington, as you can see, they're in the middle of the pack, 18th in defending small forwards. They've been allowing 32.2 fantasy points per game to opposing small forwards over the last 5 games. They dig up 29 to Warren, 33 to House, 43 to DeRozan, and 24 to Osman over the last 4 games. All right, so Jaylen Brown, definitely like him here because, to be honest with you, he on FanDuel, don't really like. It's a really ugly lineup for small forwards. Other than taking James or Kawhi Leonard, you got to consider guys like Isaac Harris or Brown. And right now, at this price range, I'd rather take Jaylen Brown here. Okay. If you're going to pay down over here, Rudy Gay, 4,900 could be an option against Minnesota. Has played well. Is getting 20-plus minutes. Josh over here as well for Minnesota, same thing. Sneaky play could be Glenn Robinson with $4,100. Herzonia has been playing a little bit. It's really just nothing here is like safe for me, as someone that, I definitely have to have him in my player pool. So again, no AD. James is the best bet. And other than that, I think, Kawhi Leonard. That's basically it, other than the ones I mentioned. Okay. At power forward, let's go to power forward. At power forward, we got AD at the top. Chances are, I really, truly believe he's going to have a day off. And if he is, then LeBron James obviously is going to be in play. Jason Tatum is in play. I just like Jaylen Brown a little bit more because of the price tag. I'll say $1,400 there. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to be even cheaper here. Draymond Green is definitely an option at $6,700. Chris Bouchard is same thing, $6,500. PJ Washington at $6,400. I think all these guys right there in the middle are okay for today. I really like this pack here: Hachimura, Covington, Gordon, and Kuz, and of course Hollis Jefferson. I'm gonna go with Hollis Jefferson because remember, Hollis Jefferson is starting. He's gonna more than likely started the last game. He's more than likely gonna start again. Other than Hollis Jefferson, the guy that comes off the bench and relieves him a little bit is Bouchard. He's up a little bit higher in price. Again, they're playing against the 26th defending team against power forward, so they definitely have an advantage. It's a good matchup for Hollis Jefferson and Bouchard. But at $6,500 and $4,200, I'd rather take my chances with Hollis Jefferson, who's going to start. And at $4,200, hey, you never know. He might go out there and put you 20. Remember, this guy has some skills. He was with the Nets, and he was at time was one of their top dogs. And so we know that he's capable of scoring, and we know that he's capable of giving you some defense and getting you a couple of steals and blocks. As you can see here, in the one game he played, 28 minutes against the Clippers, 9, 1, 1, and 3, 30 fantasy points. There's a small sample size for him as a Toronto Raptor, but this is the time they're going to need him with OG out. So Rondell Hollis Jefferson has a shot here. I'm willing to take a stab at him at $4,200. I think a lot of people will probably do the same, other than Bouchard. There's not a whole lot, to really think about here at $4,200. This is a guy that can definitely get you 30. So if he can get me 30 at this price tag of $4,200, you only need 21. I'm okay with that. He is $300 more expensive on DK, but I'm okay with that $4,500 price tag. And again, on DK, if you're not willing to pay down and get someone like this, Tatum, Gordon, like I said before, PJ Washington at $5,300 on DK, Covington at $5,000. And Bouchard at $4,300 and Kuzma at $41,000. These guys are all guys that you should definitely consider on DK. if you want to. You could pay up for a James or something like that if you're going to go for a Bouchard or a Hollis Jefferson at this price tag, or even a Covington at 5,000. I think he's in a favorable matchup as well. So that's where I'm at with Hollis Jefferson. Again, Tatum 8,400 versus Washington, 34 fantasy points per game is not bad. Oh, granted, I went ahead of myself. Portland is 26 in defending power forwards. They're allowing 28.7 fantasy points per game. Last 2 games they've given up nearly 50 fantasy points, 49.8. They gave up 39 to Bielitsa last night and 60 to Jabari Parker 3 days ago. So again, Hollis Jefferson is not right there at that, I would say at that level with these guys, at least because they've been playing most of the year, and he's only in his second game with the Raptors, and pretty much going to start only his second game with the Raptors, and I will only have his third game. It's tough to gauge, but again, like I said, in the middle here on FanDuel, man, these guys right here are all priced pretty nice, and I think they're all in good spots. Hachimura here against Boston, 5,900. Covington, 57. Aaron Gordon. This is the kind of slate here that I like, having my 3 or 4 lines and then having my key core 5 or 6 players, and then making sure that one of my power forwards in each one of those lineups is Hachimura, Covington, or Gordon, because you'd be surprised how many times myself and others have won more than 3 positions in a tournament just simply because we've done something like that. This is the perfect scenario here today where you got these 3 guys here, which I really do like at those price tags and those matchups. So you can go with any one of those guys. I think you're fine. Robert Covington, 5,700. San Antonio is giving up 40.4 fantasy points per game to opposing power forwards as of late. So you could definitely go there. Let me just, sorry about that, my phone ringing. Aaron Gordon, 5,700. Philly, 25.7. They're probably the least case scenario there. Obviously, Covington with San Antonio is a better matchup. Draymond Green, 6,700. The Lakers have given up 30.3 fantasy points per game to opposing power forwards. Bouchard, as you know already, is with Hollis Jefferson. They have been giving up 49.8 over the last 2. And Jason Tatum, 8,400 versus Washington. Washington has given up 34 fantasy points per game to opposing power forwards as of late. Let's go over to center. At center at the top, I'm okay with Towns at 10,900. He's starting to get up there in price. Joel Embiid as well. Some of those guys are kind of obvious. If I'm going to choose any one of the 2, I would say definitely Towns. Okay, because I think Embiid's going to have a tough go. Vucevic is one of the better defending centers in the league, and it's not going to be easy for him. Vucevic has had great success against Embiid as far as him offensively and defensively. So that's the guy I'm going with today, to be totally honest with you. I do like Clint Capella in his matchup here for 9,000. His price tag is up, but I'm going with Vucevic here at 9,400. You need 47 to me value. On DK is 8,300, priced very nice on DK. I told you guys earlier in the year, I like Vucevic. If you've been with me since last year, I've always praised how good of a defender he is. And I like when he's playing more than enough minutes and he's starting to defend and get all those peripherals, because he can get steals, he can get blocks. This guy can do it all. He's just as good as Jokic. He can do almost everything. Defend. He could play. He could shoot the 3, relatively well. He could shoot from the floor well. He works the paint very well as good rebounder. He does it all. 17 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. 40 fantasy points per game. As you can see, his numbers have been up. 46 or better in 3 straight games. He's playing more than 31 minutes a game. He's done that for 5 straight games, as you can see here. And he's had 1, 2, 3, 4 straight double-double games. And look at the peripherals. 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6, 7 blocks over the last 4 games and 4 steals. That's what we're looking for. Now he's starting to get cooking. Now I have more of an interest. But we have to take advantage of this price tag at 9,400, because at this clip right now, if he continues to put up, which I believe he'll put up another 50 or so today, his price tag is going to be over 10K. Then he's going to be priced about just right. So for me also, it's a matter of taking him today. Matchup is right. He's capable of getting it done. He's had big numbers against this team before in the past, in years past, and his price is still relatively low for what he is doing at the moment. And it's just going to be a matter of time. His price is going to go even higher. It was only 80-somewhat hundred just about a week ago. Okay, so he's climbing up. After this game, if he puts up 50 or better, he'll be at 10K by the next time he plays. So Vucevic in play for me. He's shooting 43% from the floor, 24% from 3, 87% from the free throw line. His usage rate is at 26%. He's taking 15 to 16 shots a game and about 3 or 4 threes. Over the last 2 games, he's been shooting 52% from the floor. So he has elevated his shooting. His shots are going down better now. His confidence is back, and they're feeding him the ball. And this is what happens when you are playing well. Your teammates look for you. So Vucevic is definitely in play for me. Going up against Philly, they're 21st in defending centers, and Granted, not that easy of a matchup going up against Embiid. Embiid is a competitor, but he has had success against Embiid. Embiid and Philly at center have allowed 42.8. That's a lot of fantasy points for the center position per game thus far. And the players that have faced as of late, Jokic put a 58, Gobert put a 50, Baines 38, and Zeller 34. I think Vooch is right there with those guys with Jokic and Gobert. He should be able to get 50 or better here tonight. I think he's a fine play. Other than that, you can't go Capella. For sure, I do like Capella. I do Valanciunas as well. Same thing with Valanciunas. Good player. If he plays more than 30, 35 minutes, he will probably smash almost every single night, 45, 50 fantasy points. But they don't play him enough. He is in a very good matchup as well. 7,300. He is definitely someone you can consider. Other than that, Robert Williams, just because Cantor is not getting the starts and he's not really playing large minutes, until that happens, I think Cantor will be someone we can look into down the line. I know I gave him to you guys the other day. I had thought he was going to start and play over 25 minutes. I didn't play him in a ton of my lineups, which is great because, of course, I do this video early on, so it's obvious that you got to watch this stuff throughout the day. So don't take everything that I give you here and right away just plug them all in there and just say, hey, you know what, man, he told me these are the 5. I should do well with these 5. Sometimes they works that way. Not all the time. Nothing is guaranteed. So I will always recommend you definitely look over the slate, watch everything all the way to the very end, because anything can happen from now to the time tip-off comes, all right? But Robert Williams, if you're going to go with that Washington, you could definitely throw in there a Robert Washington for 3,900 if you wanted to go down that low. And that's where I'm at. And same thing for DK. Towns at 9,300 definitely is someone you can consider. Embiid at 9,100. I'm okay with that. Capella 7,400. Absolutely love that price tag as opposed to 9,000 here on FanDuel. And then Valanciunas is at 6K. That's absolutely a nice price too. That's $1,300 cheaper than FanDuel. And Robert Williams is 3,900 over there as well. So that's where I'm at, man. So we got Kemba Walker, Devontae Graham, Jaylen Brown, Rondo, Hollis, Jefferson, and Mr. Vucevic are my top 5 right now, as of right now in the middle of the afternoon. We'll see how it all pans out later on today. Again, guys, man, I wish you a lot of luck. If you want to get more in-depth, you want to be able to see my player pool, look at my GPP, players that I think are the best options for you guys for GPP plays today, or possibly cash for FanDuel or DK, the only thing you have to do is go over to my Patreon page on patreon.com/DFS zone and just choose one of the tiers. You don't have to do the monthly tier. You can do the weekly tier. Check it out. It's only $5. Can't go wrong. I make pricing very, very reasonable for people just to help people out. And then you'll be able to get more in depth of why I'm thinking with those players and why am I going in those directions. All right. Other than that, that's basically it, man. I wish you guys a lot of luck. Again, if you want to be in the weekly drawing, just make sure you drop a like, comment down below, and, of course, be a subscriber to the channel. Good luck tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. The grind is real,